place. Then suddenly you put the pressure on the setup men, and the guys that were filling the long relief role now have a problem doing a different job, and it just filters down like dominoes and through the entire bullpen.
Well, that's well and good, Steve. But how would you like to be Montreal? They not only lost their stopper, Tim Burke, they also lost 3 young pitchers that they traded to get Mark Langston, who now is pitching for California. They had as much bad luck as either Zimmer or Herzog, and yet somehow they start a first place series in Montreal tonight against Pittsburgh, only a game and a half behind them.
Well, there's no doubt that looking at Montreal, they were an impressive team, and they've got it going under Buck Rogers. They've got a lot of hungry young players and a lot of fairly young veterans. So far it's been a pretty good blend, and the miracle of Montreal, Harry, is the fact that through a patchwork pitching staff, they've been second in the league all year, and that's the thing that amazes you, because when you have to go and pick and choose over everybody else's cast-offs, which is what Montreal essentially did, you have to catch lightning in a bottle, and they did that. They did it with Bill Sampson, and they did it with Dave Schmidt, a couple of guys who were not wanted where they were at, suddenly came to Montreal, and out of nowhere they're both putting together very solid years.
Well, don't you have to give their organization credit for that? Other organizations could have made the same choices, but apparently I don't know who's involved, who the scouts are under Dave Dombrowski, but somebody must know talent over there, I would guess.
Well, the scouts have to know talent, Harry, because year after year the Montreal farm system is productive. They win, they send guys to the major leagues, and they've had a history of doing that. But you have to hand it to Dave Dombrowski, because he's a general manager who is not afraid to take a chance, and we saw it clearly illustrated in the Mark Langston deal. Here's a guy who it looked like was mortgaging his future, sending 3 young pitchers to Seattle. They got Langston. They couldn't sign Langston, so suddenly you have a void as far as the pitchers are concerned in the organization. But he went out and took a gamble on a couple of free agents. It worked out very well. He's a young man, he's an aggressive man, and it looks like he is not afraid to take a chance, and it's paying dividends for Dombrowski this year in Montreal.
I forgot to say, while we're talking about all the things that have gone bad with all these clubs, and the kind of news you get when the hot summer months come in, when the season really gets going. Jim Leland, night before last, when his team lost, said his Pirates stunk. So I would imagine that's what Zimmer and Herzog would say also. Here we go, and here's Vince Coleman. Boy, this guy's amazing. The Mets have never thrown him out trying to steal. 56 out of 56. We have Ramo playing very shallow, and so is Hector at first base against the bunt. Steve Wilson fires. Strike call over the outside corner. Since 1988, Vince Coleman has stolen 106 bases in 122 tries. That's a percentage of 87%. A high pop foul out of play, and he's out in front of him, 0-2.
The Cardinals would love to see Vince Coleman take a few more walks. He doesn't do that. He's a swinging leadoff man. He's only walked 18 times this year. He's been very consistent, however, from both sides of the plate. As you take a look at it right there, just 7 points difference between a right and a left-hand hitter. And he will bunt, of course, with 2 strikes. So that's out of the picture at this point. And with that in mind, Ramos has moved back at third.
A little bit outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Boy, I'm amazed at Mike Marshall's popping off about wanting to be traded by the Mets. There's a line drive, left field, going to be caught. Dwight Smith is there, and he has it. Coleman flies out to Smith. I don't know how Mike Marshall could complain. The guy who's playing in his place, Dave Magadan, he's hitting well over 500 ever since he replaced Mike Marshall at first base.
Sometimes, Harry, you go out with a back problem and you never get back. The name Wally Pipp strikes a familiar tone. Although it wasn't a back problem, he never got back.
He had a headache.
A costly one.
Yes, it was. I wonder if the night before was worth it all. 2,130 games later, nobody could remember Wally Pipp's name. Might have been, though, a great night. 1 out, nobody on. There's a line drive. Willie McGee hitting .309, 1 homer, 29 RBI. The amazing thing about this fella is reading after games of him dropping fly balls. McGee has made 6 errors as a center fielder. That's a lot. 2 balls and a strike. He swings, misses, a change of pace. Boy, every time we see McGee, he's going deep in the left center, deep in the right center, deep in the straightaway center, making great catches. Bouncing foul. Boy, he hasn't had a good swing. That's Steve Wilson yet.
Steve Wilson making his 15th appearance of the year. It's his 8th start, his 2nd start, and 2nd appearance against the Cardinals. Lifetime against St. Louis. He's 1-0. He's been involved in 10 games against them, and his ERA .450.
2 balls, 2 strikes. They struck him out. McGee strikes out. Remember Steve Wilson pitched one of the pivotal games of the season last year. The 3rd final and rubber game of that series here at Wrigley Field. He beat the Cardinals 4-1. He struck out 10 men in the first 5 innings.
And he wasn't supposed to start that game, but he came on. He fanned 7 of the first 9 Cardinals he faced in that one.
Here now is Guerrero. Fastball outside. Jeremiah T. McMahon watching the ball game out in Tucson, Arizona. I got a kick out of a short story that guy wrote involving the Cubs. There's a strike call, a slider. 1 ball, 1 strike.
To this point, Wilson looks like he's got a very good fastball, and his slider is a lot sharper than it was in earlier outings.
Now the delivery. A little bit low and inside. Well, a lot of the empty seats have been filled, but there's still some of them around. And I know this was a sellout. 2 balls and a strike. Guerrero hitting .297. There's a drive. Way back. Dwight Smith is near the wall. It is out of here, a home run. And the Cardinal fans have the first chance to cheer. Guerrero hit his 8th home run of the year. 46 run batted in. Just made it into the left field bleacher.
What a difference a park makes. In St. Louis, that's a big can of corn. And right here, it's in the bleachers. So Guerrero, who's not known for tremendous power, he is known for RBIs, puts the Cardinals on the board first. We'll take another look at it. It's a fastball, and it's out over the plate. Pedro loves to get his arms out, and he got just enough of this one with Dwight Smith running out of room at the Ivy.
1-0 Cardinals. Here's Todd Zeal, the catcher. Strike call.
This is the first time that Todd Zeal has hit in the number 4 spot, but he seems to be getting better and better offensively. And Whitey Herzog said nobody else is doing it. We'll put him behind Guerrero and see if we can protect Pedro.
There's a high pop foul. That'll be an easy out. Boy, the Cardinals have only 30 home runs after Guerrero's blow. Only 30 home runs as a team. All right, we go in the bottom of the first to score. Redbirds 1. Cubs coming down. We go in the bottom of the first. And here is Doug DeCenzo leading it off, hitting .204. 1 homer, 9 RBIs. Joe McGraine having a real off year. Here's the pitch. Fastball is low. Big left-hander. Good fastball. Good curve. Good change. You wonder why his record is only 3-9. There's a pitch a little bit low. And And I tell you, I'm very disappointed. I was one of those guys who thought Steve Wilson, maybe it's too quick. Maybe getting this year under his belt as a starter will make all the difference in the world. It seems to me that he has all the pitches to win with, but maybe the location might be his trouble. Line drive, foul down the right field line. That home run pitch to Guerrero is right over the middle of the plate. I'm sure he either wanted it inside or he wanted it outside. He didn't want it over the middle, but that's where it wound up, and it's a home run. But the amazing thing is the Cardinals only had 29 home runs as a team until that blow. That means that Sandberg and Dunston together had as many home runs as a whole Cardinal team. And Sandberg and Dawson have more home runs. Even now, the Guerrero has hit the team's 30th. Ground ball. Kendall throws him out. One out. Here's Sandberg, who's going at a pace. If he keeps up his present pace, he'll hit 45 home runs or more this year.
Wind is blowing straight out today, and there's how they'll line up defensively behind Joe McGraine, who's 3-3 lifetime against the Cubs. The ERA .289, and he had a gem in this ballpark back on August 12th of '88. He threw a one-hitter at the Cubs. He's not psyched out by this park. He's 2-0 lifetime in Wrigley Field.
One out, nobody on. Here's Sandberg, hitting .336, 19 homers, 45 runs batted in. One ball, no strikes.
McGraine is starting to come alive. He's averaged over 7 innings per start his last 7 starts.
Ball 2 outside. Only 3 home runs have been hit off him, so it isn't the long ball that's hurt him. 2 balls, no strike. Ball 3 outside. A quick recovery is wished to Jeff Wilson, a 15-year-old fan at St. Anthony's Hospital in Rockford, Illinois. Strike call. 3-1. And now Rhino is ready. 3 balls and the strike. Line to right field, base hit. Sandberg single to right. He's on. That brings up Sean Dunston, hitting .306.
There's an example of taking what the pitcher will give you. Now, Rhino couldn't pull that ball. It was moving out away from him, so instead of trying to pull it and grounding to shortstop, he just dumped the ball into right field. Well, look at the swing. Look at the location. He's protecting, and he drives the ball into right.
A speedy recovery wish to Barbara Greengoss. There are the hitters. Dawson second. Sandberg is third. Dykstra leads, of course. Ground ball, foul. Dunston hitting .306, having a sensational year at shortstop. 10 homers, 16 runs batted in.
Outfield straightaway and fairly deep for Sean.
Fouled it back. A group of 600 of the Illinois veterans home in Quincy, Illinois, watching the ball game today, and birthday greetings to Perry Miller.
This infield can still do it. They have very good gloves defensively, except Guerrero's just adequate at first.
He struck him out on a bad ball over his head. Get well wishes to retired Chicago policeman Jack Kelly, who's at South Shore Hospital. To get well wishes from the WGN crew. Andre Dawson. Strike call over the outside corner. Andre was 17 homers, 49 runs batted in. Sandberg, the runner at first. Hector Villanueva waiting to hit next. Swung, and he missed a high inside fastball.
If you got a good fastball on a given day, many pitchers will try to climb the ladder with hitters like Dunston and Dawson. Example of a couple of high fastballs, you just can't catch up with it. The best thing to do is to take it. But with the wind blowing out, it becomes a difficult thing to lay off of at Wrigley Field.
0-2 the count. There's a drive in a left field, but it is caught nicely by Vince Coleman. Ball really hit hard. One hit, one left. At the end of 1-0. On to the top of the second. And leading it off will be Terry Pendleton, who may become a free agent after this year. They got a lot of guys they got to make decisions on, including Vince Coleman, Lee Smith.
I think they've got 9 players, Harry, that they're going to have to make a decision.
There's a drive, right field, coming in. Dawson, he's there, he has it. One out. That'll bring up Ozzie Smith. A 12-year-old youngster is here watching his first game at Wrigley Field. Dan Willett is here with his father, Terry Willett, and his grandma.
Ozzie's got a little more pop from the right side. You can't play him too close in left field because he can hit the ball off the wall this way.
Pitches outside.
Hitting .250 as a right-hand hitter this year, just .223 as a left-hand hitter, and he hasn't homered from either side.
He swings and he misses a change. And that's a good pitch for Steve Wilson, and he's just developing it. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. That home run hit by Guerrero. There's another fly ball to right. That should be caught. Dawson catches it. That home run hit by Guerrero was the 10th of Steve Wilson. The 10th in 57 innings.
Bill Thompson said against left-handers, he looks breaking ball and tries to take it either back up the middle or to left or left center. He says that's the one concession he makes to the southpaw on the mound.
2 out, nobody on. Milt Thompson takes a strike. Rags Regano from Bloomingdale, Illinois is here, and so are the Sawaliches from West Frankfort. 1 ball, 1 strike.
With the departure of Tom Brunansky, Thompson getting a lot more play, and now he's getting to look at left-handers occasionally.
There's a bouncing ball. Nice play by Rhino. He went to short right field and threw out Milt Thompson. Going to bottom of the second, 1-0 Redbird. Bradley, the pitch to Hector Villanueva. He's ahead of McGraine, 2 balls, no strike. McGraine out of Des Moines, Iowa. Attended the University of Arizona at Tucson. Won 18 last year. Ball is low and outside, ball 3.
He throws a knuckle curveball. It's most unusual, but it's an effective pitch, obviously, when he's throwing it in the strike zone. That's been one of his problems, the inability to get the breaking ball over this year.
There's a strike called. 3 balls and a strike.
I would think right here Hector would be looking for a pitch in the zone, preferably below the belt on the inner half, because he can hit it as far as anybody if he gets it there.
He swings and he fouls it back. McGraine's a big guy, 6'6", weighs 230. A real great sense of humor. He's a funny guy.
Last year of his
handsome kid.
Last year of his 18th victories, 12 of them came right after Cardinal losses or losing streaks. So he indeed was the stopper on this ball club last year.
3-2 pitch. Ball 4. And Villanueva draws a base on balls. That brings up Domingo Ramos, hitting .243. They're the two managers. Zimmer and Herzog, both great friends, both great admirers of each other's, of the other guy's work. Ramos fouls it back out of play.
The Cardinals have been working long and hard on Todd Zeal and his takeaway when he makes the throw. They want him to take the ball away on the right side of his body, so it limits the time that it takes him to get the ball to second base. And pitching coach Mike Rourke, who was a former catcher, as well as Dave Ricketts, who was a former catcher, have been working very hard with Zeal, and he's getting better.
Curve is a little bit low. The opposition has stolen 73 bases on the Cardinals out of 110 attempts. So they've only caught 37 men now trying to steal. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fouls it back, and I think the Redbirds themselves, if they told you the truth, would tell you that they still miss Tony Pena, who's now with the Red Sox, one of the outstanding catchers in baseball.
They made their decision to cast their lot with the youngster, and now they have to wait for him to grow into that position, which is a most difficult position at the major league level.
Whoop. Time call.
Teams try to run on the Cardinals, as you can see by the disparity in stolen base attempts with the Cubs and Cardinals. They've only tried to steal 63 times against the Cubs this year, as opposed to 110 against the Cardinals.
A little bit low. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Ramos. Domingo likes to hit the ball in the right field, and look at the gap in right center. The right fielder Thompson's playing him near the line. Straightaway centers McGee. He ought to plug that gap. He hits it fouled into the stands on the first base side. The rooftops are well populated today. Hey, I understand Nike has taken over Murphy's rooftop for the All-Star game. Bo Jackson is the feature of their ad, and all the people who are in other sports who won't be playing in the All-Star game will be featured at that party atop Murphy's rooftop. There's the pitch outside. Ball 3.
This is a pretty good middle infield between Ozzie Smith and Jose Oquendo. They've only made 7 errors this year. Ozzie's made 5 and Jose has only made 2. So if they get a shot at the double play, they're going to be able to turn it.
3-2. Let's see what Villanueva does here. He stays, and a good thing he did, because McGraine kind of lobbed the ball over there. Now Villanueva is not known for winning many sprints. There he goes. Fouled into the stand. Diana Hunt from Bellevue, Idaho, watching the ball game here in Chicago.
Great Cub fan celebrating a birthday today. Josephine Wilkinson from Crown Point, Indiana. She watches most every game.
And so is Brock and Tiffany Ogborn from Griffith, Indiana. And all their relatives are here. There goes a runner, strike 3 call. Throws into center field. There goes Hector on his way to third base. And Zeal over through second for his 5th error of the year. You know, remember last year when I was talking about Zeal and Pena, and when, you know, the stories were coming out that Pena might be allowed to become a free agent, which he later became. Remember I said the ideal situation would be to let this kid develop under Pena, so Pena could teach him a few things. But of course, Pena, it would have cost about $3 million to keep that kind of a teacher around.
A costly sum when you consider that Zeal would get the majority of the playing time. And he's had his problems throwing out base runners, as you saw right there. But Hector picks up a stolen base, moves to third on the air.
The infield in now. Here is Dwight Smith. Strike over the outside corner. Now watch this. Hector Villanueva, his first career stolen base.
What a surprise. They should give a base. A couple of bases.
1 strike. Strike 2. The first strike over the outside corner. The second strike over the inside corner. And both were curveball.
This is a big at bat for Dwight Smith, because he's got to show Don Zimmer he can hit left-handers, and no better opportunity than with a man at third and only 1 out.
Now the pitch. Struck him out on 3 pitches.
That was a very bad at bat. He was looking breaking ball, and McGraine just fired the fastball by him. And look how late the swing is. Ball's in the glove already.
After looking bad on the first 2 curveballs, you could hardly blame him for looking for another curveball, and that's the way McGraine figured it. And he threw the fastball right by him. 2 out. Here's Girardi. Pitch is low and outside.
I'd be very surprised if they gave Joe anything to hit. You got a left-handed pitcher due up next in Steve Wilson. 2 of the great base stealers in the league. Hector and Vince.
I think Vince is laughing out loud at that comparison.
You don't think that Hector's going to challenge him this year for the stolen base crown?
2 men out. Strike call. A ball and a strike.
Looks like if Joe is going to hit McGraine, he's going to have to go the other way, because McGraine probably won't give him too much to swing at with the pitcher due up. They elected to pitch to him, certainly, but he might have to use right and right center on that fastball that tails away.
Inside and a high. McGraine, after issuing a walk to Hector Villanueva, has struck out Ramos called and Smith swinging. 2 balls and a strike. Swung at a high fastball and he fouled it back.
That's why you have to have tremendous patience if you're going to hit in the 8th spot, because you have the pitcher behind you, and you know more times than not a pitcher is not going to give you anything too good to hit. At this point, Girardi should be standing on first base. Instead, he's looking at a 2-2 count. That pitch was well out of the strike zone, and now McGraine can use that good knuckle curve to try to get him.
The Reisinger family from Waterloo, Iowa on hand. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Foul tipped it. Boy, on basis of how McGraine has looked so far, hard to compare the way he looks to his record of only 3-9. He looks like a good pitcher.
Mike Rourke felt that he was really hurt by the accelerated spring training. He was one of the guys that just didn't come around when the bell rang.
The pitch. He struck him out. He struck out the side. So at the end of 2, 1-0 St. Louis. And Steve Stone as we go into the top of the 3rd with Jose Oquendo leading it off. 1-0 in favor of the Cardinals on Pedro Guerrero's 8th home run of the year. The whole team, the whole Cardinal team has only 30 home runs now. 1 ball, no strikes. Bill Braddock from Warsaw, Indiana, watching the ball game. Ground ball, base hit. Here's Oquendo on his way to second. Oquendo leads off with a double to left.
8th double of the year for Jose Oquendo. He's not having a banner season. Last year he hit the ball so very well all year long when he hit 291, and this year just scuffling along in the 220s. But he starts the Cardinals out in good shape here in the 3rd. Watch it again. You don't expect this man to pull the ball, but pull the ball he does right by a diving Ramos.
McGraine is 4 out of 23 as a hitter. They're expecting him to bunt. Bunts foul. The Bradens are here from Louisville, Kentucky. And they're here from Decatur, Illinois.
See the 4 sacrifices for Joe McGraine, and if he does lay it down, he wants to bunt it right at Domingo Ramos. Put the pressure on him to field the ball. Oquendo's got pretty decent speed at second, although not great speed.
Decatur, Illinois. That's Bob Skiffington country. Our Budweiser man there. Strike called over the inside corner.
Congratulations to Sue Skousen and Bob Carzoli, 2 great Cub fans getting married later today.
2 strikes and nothing. Joe McGraine.
Sometimes it's the little things in a ball game that determine winning and losing, especially if it's going to be tough and tight. That's generally how the Cardinals and Cubs play him. So the inability to bunt by McGraine or move the base runner over might come back to haunt him if he doesn't get the job done in this at bat.
He wasn't going to bunt that time. He's not a bad hitter. He's hit home runs in the major league. He's 4 out of 23 this year. Dunston holding Oquendo close. Lined up right with him. Whoop. Time had been called.
It's a shame because that was a good slider right on the inside corner. But Frank Pulley acknowledged the timeout of Joe McGraine and threw up his hands. No pitch. Zim wants to know who called time. Joe McGraine called time, and then Frank Pulley acknowledged it.
1 ball, 2 strikes. But he would not have to acknowledge it. It had Wilson. He strikes him out anyway. If Wilson did it in the process of making the pitch, even though McGraine backed out of the box, Pulley had to recognize he had called time, insufficient time. But he strikes out on the next pitch anyhow. Hey, here's a couple of guys coming from Fresno, California. Nick Cisco and Ralph Villano. He says, who says nobody comes from Fresno? Lovely people watching the game here today. Vince Coleman had a cut.
Coleman leads this team in strikeouts. Most unusual for a leadoff hitter, but when you're hitting over 300, they don't complain too much. Unfortunately for the Cardinals, his on-base percentage only .347, which shows you that he doesn't walk a lot.
0-1 the count. 1 out, 1 on. Low and outside, a curveball. They're here from Pompano Beach, Florida, and from Clinton, Iowa. I'm sure she's voting for Ryan Sandberg and Andre Dawson and Sean Dunston. 2 balls and the strike. I think Dawson is leading the National League outfielders now. in votes for the All-Star team. Sandberg leads as second baseman, but Dunston is about second and third among the shortstops. Fouled, out of play. Bruce Fremming, the umpire down there. Ozzie Smith is still leading. Not having a good year, but they get a lot of people in attendance at that St. Louis ballpark, and of course they usually vote for the hometown player. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fouled it back and out of play. Coleman flied out to Dwight Smith and left.
Last time the Cubs saw the Cardinals, they stole 8 bases against them. And you saw the graphic, Coleman getting 4 stolen bases, stealing second and third twice. And that was the day they ran at will. But now with a left-hander on the mound, you can slow down their running game a little.
The 2-2 pitch. Struck him out. A good curveball. That's a 3rd strikeout for Wilson.
Steve Wilson trying to duplicate the feat of Joe McGraine. Lead-off double, and so far he struck out the next 2 hitters. This is a good slider, completely fooling Coleman, who goes down for the 51st time this year.
That brings up Willie McGee with Pedro Guerrero next. Guerrero, the only power hitter on this ball club. He has 8 out of the 30 home runs. A high pop fly, foul into the stand. Hector Villanueva quickly saw it was into the stand. They're here from Dubuque, Iowa, and from Lamont, Iowa. And a group of 30 from Peoria are here. And the Kellys from Milford, Ohio. 0-1 the count. That evens the count. A ball and a strike.
Willie McGee is a much more free swinger from the right side, and he will swing at low breaking balls, change-ups in the dirt. He's fanned 44 times this year.
1-1 pitch. High, ball 2. The Pueblos are here from Douglas, Wyoming. And birthday greetings to David Faith, number 22 today. Two balls and a strike. Ball 3 low. And Guerrero's next.
You've pretty much got to give Willie McGee a good pitch to hit here, because you certainly don't want to get to Pedro Guerrero. So this is what's called protection in back of you, and let's see if Wilson can get out of it by making a good pitch, but not too good to McGee.
3 balls and the strike. A hot shot, center field, base hit. A run is in. McGee drilled a single to center. That drives in his 30th run of the year.
Here's an example of laying in a fastball. It's on the outer portion of the plate, but it was up. And with Guerrero behind him, on a 3-1 count especially, McGee is going to get good pitches to hit.
Joan Loeb with her husband and son watching in Laguna, California. What's she doing here alone? Inside. They're here from Gallup, New Mexico, the Cleaserts.
McGee has stolen 20 bases. He's been caught 3 times.
McGee a lead. He's not likely to steal. It probably would walk Guerrero. Todd Zeal is their cleanup man, hitting .240. 1 ball, 2 balls, no strikes. Good fastball on the outside corner. There's a guy from Wilson, North Carolina, from Dick's Hot Dogs in Wilson, North Carolina. Well, a little hot dog, a little mustard, cold bottle of Budweiser. That wouldn't be bad right now.
A lot of people felt that Pedro Guerrero wouldn't stay healthy on the artificial surface in St. Louis, but he played in all 162 last year for St. Louis.
There's a high fly ball. Will be caught. Descenzo's there. Makes the catch to retire the side. 1 run, 2 hits. We go in the bottom of the 3rd. The Cardinals lead 2-0. Harry Carey and Steve Stone's back in the ballpark. Steve Wilson will be leading it off. Lee Smith.
He's just getting back. He was injured for about 3 days, and he's healthy and ready to go now in case they need him.
Here's Steve Wilson to lead it off. Birthday greetings to our good friend John Doncrank, General Manager of ARA Services here at Wrigley Field. Happy birthday, John Doncrank. One ball, 1 strike. They're from Springfield, Illinois. Bunch of gals. Strike 2 call. He fouled it back.
Wilson usually gets a pretty good cut, although he hasn't had a great deal of success. He looks like he might be able to hit, but I think McGraine might be a little too tough for him.
He's got 2 hits so far this year. Sarah Link here from Washburn, North Dakota. There's a pitch fouled outside 3rd. The Veriker family from St. Pete Beach, Florida. Maybe good friends of Don Zimmer's. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That evens the count.
I'd like to see what Wilson is doing. He's right up on the plate, choked up on the bench, just trying to make some contact with 2 strikes. He wants to put the ball in play and then put the pressure on the Cardinal defense. Let's see if he can make some contact against McGraine.
A little tap foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He's making Joe work, and you don't find many pitchers that will get up that close to the plate to protect.
Nick and Trish Wiseman from Richmond, Indiana are here with their parents. Again, he fouls it back. Mary Woods, Joe Ryan, and Dorothy Ungaro from the Arlington Heights Memorial Library watching the Cubs. How'd you do at Arlington? You never lose, do you? I'm at the racetrack, not the library. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He struck him out. He tried to check his swing, but couldn't. That's 4 strikeouts in a row for Joe McGraine. And the 5th all told. 4 of them have come in succession.
Doug DeCenzo, who's a better hitter from the right side, usually doesn't bunt. At least not as a right-hand hitter, but Terry Pendleton doesn't know that, so he's in very close to third. If you do decide to bunt with a left-hander on the mound, a bunt to the right side's pretty good play with Guerrero at first.
He was going to bunt, but the pitch was low. Ball one. Darlene Kiley is here from Clinton, Iowa. 1 out, nobody on. 2-0 Redbirds. Good strike, boy. Watch the way that Frank Pulley punches him out on these called strikes. He lands a right cross to the chin. Fouled it back. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It's unusual for a pitcher to throw a knuckle curve, especially in this day and age. When Bert Hooton was so successful with his, there were a few guys around who tried it. What Joe McGraine does is tuck the index finger and uses that to get spin on the breaking ball. It's a pretty good pitch.
Low inside, 2-2. There's Greg Maddux and Mark Grace. Both having off years. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Base hit for Doug DeCenzo. And that brings up Sandberg. He hit a 2-2 pitch solidly into left field.
Doug DeCenzo's 2 out of 4 in the stolen base department. The Cubs already have the 1 steal by Hector Villanueva. And that's a good way to shake things up. But with the wind blowing out, Don Zimmer looking for the long ball off the bat of Sandberg.
Sandberg singled to right his first time. Throw to first. Battle for first place in Montreal tonight. Terrell for the Pirates. And Gross for Montreal.
Joe McGraine hasn't balked yet, but sometimes you don't have to steal a base against him. He's thrown 5 wild pitches. And if he tries to steer that knuckle curveball, Zeal's going to have all kinds of problems blocking it.
Sandberg, the hitter. Boy, he's doing a good job of staring down Doug DeCenzo. Just kept looking at him and then fired over there. Again he throws.
Doesn't have a particularly good move, so 4 straight tosses doesn't make a great deal of sense. All he's got to worry about is speeding up his delivery, getting the ball home if he's worried about DeCenzo going. But the man he's really got to worry about is number 23 swinging that bat.
DeCenzo, pretty good lead. Strike call over the outside corner. It looks like McGraine is going to keep the ball away from Sandberg. He did his first time up. He singled to right. Again the throw over there.
Outfield straight away and very deep, as you would expect for Ryne Sandberg.
Outside. That evens it up. A ball and a strike. It's turned out to be a nice day after a morning full of rain. Damon Berryhill
I talked to Damon before the game, and he said that he was progressing. He can't put a timetable on it yet, but he's throwing the ball. He doesn't have a great deal of strength. He doesn't know when he's going to be able to play in a game.
Whoop, time call. Balk. A ball call.
First balk of the year.
Will advance to second.
Frank Pulley's the man that called it, and that usually means no hesitation on the part of McGraine. We're going to take a look at it in full speed. Let's see if he gives you the 1 second pause. Here he comes down.
No.
Never did it, and Frank Pulley with a definitive call.
And now Sandberg has a chance at an RBI. A little bit outside, ball 2. He wants to make sure if Sandberg hits one out, it's going to have to be to right or right center. And he usually pulls his home runs in the left and left center. 2 balls and a strike. He swung and missed the catcher misses the ball also, and DeCenzo advances at third. Probably be a pass ball.
Let's take another look at it. It's the knuckle curve, and it just dips right below the glove. It's a wild pitch, but that certainly should have been handled. You can't go with the face of the glove straight down. Now watch it. Instead of turning the glove over, he tries to smother the ball, and that ball wasn't in the dirt.
You know, it didn't look like he expected the ball to curve. He may have been he may have been crossed up.
They're changing it to a pass ball.
That's more like it. They always look at the television before they make their ruling, a definitive ruling. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Struck him out with a slider. Sandberg doesn't realize that he swung at it, but he did. They appealed to the first base umpire, Steve Ripley.
Strikeout number 6. McGraine with a good knuckle curve. Rhino thinks he held up. We'll watch it again. That was far enough for Steve Ripley.
And here's Dunston now. The Cubs had a chance to score a run in the second, failed. This is the second inning in a row they've had a runner at third with less than 2 out and haven't scored them yet. Low and outside.
McGraine had a word with Ozzie Smith at shortstop, and Ozzie probably wanted to know how he's going to pitch him, either in and out, and that'll determine how he plays. If he's going to throw him a lot of breaking balls, Ozzie will cheat toward the hole. If he's just going to go with a fastball like he did on the first pitch, Ozzie will move perhaps a step to his left.
Swung and he missed. I tell you, he's got them all swinging and missing his slider.
Out of all the Cubs, Dunston probably best equipped for hitting the low breaking ball. That's his natural stroke.
1 ball, 1 strike. Fouls it back. Didn't have a very good swing at that one.
Now we'll see if McGraine learned anything the first time he faced Dunston. He buzzed the fastball eye high and out of the strike zone. And after you get set up with a couple of breaking balls low and in, that's usually a pretty good pitch to anybody, but especially to Sean.
Tom Brenneman will be coming along at the end of this inning. High and inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2-0 in favor of the Redbird. Two pitch. Struck him out. And again he strikes out to side. That's 7 strikeouts in 3 innings. Harry Carey from Wrigley Field. We're at the end of 3. The Cardinals lead 2-0.
Tom Brenneman back at Wrigley Field in Chicago. A 2-0 Cardinals lead. Joe McGraine has been pretty nasty through 3 innings.
This is not a strikeout pitcher, but he's got 7.
McGee had a pretty good pitch. Todd Zeal to lead it off. His first trip. Zeal fouled out to third baseman Domingo Ramos. And you know the trouble continues for the Cubs with a runner at third base and less than 2 outs. Steve, twice today couldn't push a run across.
With the wind blowing out, a lot of hitters, Tom, will think long ball instead of situation. And the situation dictates you've got to make some contact, especially with the Cardinals conceding a run with the infield back. Didn't work out that way.
1-1 pitch to Zeal. Breaking ball that just missed. 2 balls and a strike. Zeal will be followed by Terry Pendleton and then Ozzie Smith.
Here's a man who can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and the Cardinals figure down the road he's going to be a 25 home run man. They know that he's got some pop, but he's just learning the hitters and learning the hitters as well as the pitchers in the National League. You have to learn the hitters if you're going to catch.
2-2 to Zeal.
So far his mind has been clogged with any number of things because he's had the defensive problems. So they're talking to him about how to set up, how to throw, learning the hitters and making adjustments, and all of those considerations don't really help your hitting too much. So he's got a lot to worry about, but the youngster has some tools.
So has the pressure of pretty much being given the National League's Rookie of the Year award, much like Greg Jeffrey's last season before the season ever got underway.
But then there was Delino DeShields,
yes,
who came along and put together a solid year before the broken finger in Montreal.
Payoff pitch coming to Zeal. Went after one out of the strike zone, but managed to get a piece. Count remains at 3 balls, 2 strikes. Solo home run from Pedro Guerrero in the first inning. And with 2 down, an RBI single by Willie McGee to score Jose Oquendo. Steve Wilson is fan 3. There is a drive way back to left field. Forget all about it. Todd Zeal, his 7th home run of the year, and the Cardinals now own a 3-0 advantage.
RBI number 27, and there's a little of the power that we were talking about. Todd Zeal on a 3-2 pitch got a fastball, and Steve Wilson does not have much movement on that fastball. And he lined it right against the screen in left. This ball is a rocket. A fastball up and right down the middle of the plate. It's a home run hitter's delight when you see one of those. And there is a man who will be a home run hitter.
I think we can officially call that a Steve Stone home run call. Not that you were rooting for him to hit a home run, don't get me wrong, but I think we could put that one in the bank.
Well, he's a happy young man as he looks out at Steve Wilson.
Pendleton trying to match the long ball from Zeal, comes up empty. Ball and a strike. Terry fly to right field in the 2nd inning. 3-0 Cardinals here in the top of the 4th.
Tom Pagnozzi telling him anybody could have hit that one.
And he's saying sure.
But you can't hit it from the bench, Tom.
1-2 now on Terry Pendleton. Pendleton, a 2-time Gold Glove Award winner. He can pick it at third base. Jammed him inside, going out as Dunston. He'll get there. 1 down.
Terry Pendleton uses a bigger bat from the right side. That's his natural side, even though he's not hitting as well as a right-hand hitter. He said he uses a bigger, heavier bat because he gets through too quickly if he doesn't. And that time he didn't get through quickly enough and didn't get much into the swing.
1 out, 1 in. Here in the Redbirds' 4th inning, Ozzie Smith fly to right field his first trip. And Joe McGraine has been outstanding so far in this game. He's allowed 2 base hits and fan 7. His career high came against the Cubs last year when he struck out 9 on June the 10th.
He loves this ballpark. He pitched a 1-hitter against the Cubs right here in August of '88.
2-1 now to Ozzie. They've been giving the Gold Glove Award away for 33 years, and only 2 players have taken one home every season of an entire decade. Brooks Robinson and Ozzie Smith. though they say he's lost a step or two this year.
He's compensated for it by getting rid of the ball a little more quickly, and there's the past and the future as far as shortstop greatness. Although Ozzie still has some play left, he certainly has lost a couple of steps, and Sean is taken over along with Barry Larkin as the premier shortstops in the National League.
3-1 pitch, and he walked him. First walk given up in this game by Steve Wilson. And that'll get the bullpen active.
Kramer getting up, starting to get loose. Lloyd McClendon going down there to catch him. And a birthday, a Cub fan, a 1-year-old Cub fan, Alex Jasinski.
Ozzie Smith, 16 stolen bases in 18 attempts. Milt Thompson takes ball 1. Thompson grounded to second base to end the second inning. Domingo in at third base, but first to throw over to Villanueva.
I asked Thompson when he started to get platooned at the major league level. He said he came up with Atlanta, went 1 for 16 against left-handers, and suddenly became a platoon player. Never got another shot until Philadelphia, and now here in St. Louis.
2-0, and we've talked about this many times before about how a player gets hung with that label. Well, he can't hit left-handers. Well, this guy can't hit right-handers. He can't play every day. Jose Oquendo, who's just right down the trail from Thompson at second base, is living proof that that's not always the truth.
Thompson put together a great year last year. This man went to bat 545 times, so you know he played against all the left-handers, and he hit .290. Now this year it's down a little bit, but the reason it's down this year is he didn't play with Bernansky here. Now he's getting his chance, and he's got to go through a spring training all over again as far as facing the left-hand pitchers.
Almost had Ozzie Smith caught, and had it not been for his tremendous quickness, he'd have been nailed.
I think maybe a more experienced first baseman would have gotten him on this play. He is leaning the wrong way. Wilson just makes the courtesy toss, and you can see Hector well out in front of the bag, allowing Smith to get in behind him. Don't forget the left-handed first baseman also has the glove on the other hand for the slap tag, and Hector had to come across his body. Now watch Milt Thompson telling himself to get the ball down. You can't hit it up there. Nobody can hit it up there. So lay off it. Make the pitcher come to you.
2-1 to Milt Thompson, and fouled out of play. So the count ends at 2-2, and Domingo will back up at third base.
Milt says he's looking for a breaking ball from a left-hand pitcher in a situation just like this. Now looking for it and then getting it and hitting it are two different things. I think the best pitch to Thompson right here is to buzz another fastball right in under his hands, because if he is leaning out over the plate, you're going to either shatter his bat or throw it by him.
Wilson paying a lot of attention, and why not, to the speedy Ozzie Smith at first base. It's almost like playing a track team when you play against the Cardinals. Almost every guy in the lineup can run. Still 2-2 to Thompson. Wilson going with his sidearm delivery right there, and he'll do that every now and then.
He's got a pretty effective sidearm breaking ball, and the only time he has some problems is when it stays flat. And if you drop down sidearm, you can't get under the ball. Gaylord Perry, one of the great proponents of the sidearm breaking ball, always said you can dip down as far as you want. Just make sure the hand stays on top of the ball so you get a little downward motion on your breaking ball. And it served him well over 300 wins. Not to mention a couple of other tricks or two.
Do you think he'll get in the Hall of Fame?
I think he deserves it if you look at his performance. Obviously coming out and saying that he threw the spitball quite often might hurt him a little bit, but his numbers are certainly impressive, and durability was his long suit. He would take the ball.
There goes the runner, and Thompson fouls it into the seats. So Smith will have to come back to first base. Count still 2-2.
Joe Kramer continues to heat up in the pen. Don Zimmer trying to use all the left-handers he can against the Cardinals to try to slow up that running game. 98 steals this year. They've only been caught 18 times as a team. So the percentage far superior to Montreal, although Montreal has stolen a few more bases.
2-2 to Milt Thompson. Here's a pitch, and the count goes full. Girardi, a bluff throw down to first base. So let's see what's doing right here.
I got to believe he's going, and here's your strike him out, throw him out if you can throw the ball by Milt Thompson. Big pitch for Steve Wilson in his existence in this game.
He'll first throw to Villanueva. A 3-0 Cardinals lead here in the top of the 4th inning. Solo home runs from Guerrero and Todd Zeal, and an RBI single by Willie McGee. There goes a runner, and they're not going to get the force at second base, and they're not going to get anything. Well, Ryne Sandberg commits only his 2nd error of the season. As a matter of fact, that's only his 2nd error in his last 754 chances.
Here's an example of trying to make a throw before you have the ball. You look at Rhino, and he's looking at second base. That is the first fielding error for Ryne Sandberg in his last 156 games. Now, he's had a couple of throwing errors, but the first fielding error, and it was an easy chance. So even the great ones, when they lose the concentration, will make a mistake.
Jose Oquendo loses the bat and sends the ball into the seats. Ryne Sandberg. If you happen to be watching at home right now, I hope you had your tape machine on, because we may not see another Booth the rest of the year.
Certainly not one like that one.
It was also Sandberg's 2nd error in his last 754 chances. 754.
That is amazing. 754 chances, only 2 errors.
Well, you get a little older, you know, you start to slip.
Yeah, grand 30, right? Slow roller right side. Sandberg will get another chance. This time he'll throw him out. The runners advance on. Smith to third base. And at second, Milt Thompson. 2 down.
Now a good chance to get out of the inning for Steve Wilson, because he's got Joe McGraine. He fanned him easily in the 3rd inning. And these are 2 big runs. This could tell the tale in the game. The way McGraine is throwing and the fact that he's striking out everybody in sight would not bode well for the future of the Cubs if he could somehow get a base hit and score 2.
McGraine trying to extend a 4-game hitting streak. And he only has 4 hits all year. Runners at second and third. Ball 1 outside. Joe Kramer still getting loose down in the bullpen. Wilson tending to that mound. Doesn't seem to be very comfortable with a pitching rubber right now. It's 1 ball, no strikes. And he pops it up. Might be playable. Girardi going back, and he makes a grab. In the inning, 1 run, 1 hit. An error, 2 men left. Go to the bottom of the 4th. The Cardinals 3, the Cubs nothing. There still is a threat of rain and perhaps thunder showers a little bit later on here in Chicago. Joe McGraine. Well, his Ks per 9 inning against the league, 4.98. Against the Cubs, almost 9.
And he's doing it all with a very good knuckle curveball today. He's kept most of those pitches down. This is not a strikeout pitcher. I mean, you look at his numbers for the course of his career, and he's just not a strikeout pitcher. But for some reason against the Cubs, he's found the secret.
It'll be 4, 5, and 6 for the Cubs, trailing 3-0. Andre Dawson, Hector Villanueva, and Domingo Ramos. Joe McGraine, only 25 years old. 6'6" left-hander, 230 pounds. And he is a good one. He has given up only 2 hits and is fanned 7. 1-0 to Dawson. Andre lined to left field to end the 1st inning. For some strange reason, McGraine, he won 18 last year, yeah, but he always finds a way, and I don't mean this as a slap on him, but he finds a way to lose a game. Guerrero will play it. One down.
Well, if he looks up over the stands on the third base side, he might find a way to lose this one, because the clouds are coming in. The Cubs still have 5 outs before this becomes an official game. And maybe like the game in Philadelphia, 2 outs away from a loss. The Cubs get rained out of that one and don't have to worry about it till another day. But if I was Joe McGraine, I think I would speed up my delivery and try to get this one in. On the other side, Wilson might want to slow his down.
Ryne Sandberg, if you had to give away the National League's MVP award today, and of course they don't, Sandberg would be the winner. He has just had one marvelous year. 1-1 to Villanueva, getting the start today at first base.
He's in there because he can hit the ball out of the ballpark. With the wind blowing out, all he's got to do is get it up in the air.
2-1.
Jeff Pico now throwing in the bullpen.
Getting darker by the minute. 2-1 pitch. And again, Hector fouls it straight back over the screen. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The only reason I say that, getting back to McGraine, even the year when he won the ERA championship, had the fewest number of wins of any pitcher to win that crown in the National League. Giving chase, but not getting there, Milt Thompson.
You know, he's been around a few years, so you forget the fact that he still is only 25 years old. And most people will tell you, when you evaluate pitchers, that a pitcher really gets to his prime at age 27. That's about the time when, number one, he should be fairly injury-free, and number two, all of the experience that he has under his belt coincide with his physical strength and maturity. That's when you get good. And so he's got a couple of years left. He's still very good. He's a valuable commodity, even at 3-9. He just got off to the rocky start. But you learn how to win games late. Remember the knock on Bert Blyleven early in his career, that he gave the game away in the late innings, and he came on to be a successful pitcher for a long time.
Swing and a miss. Down goes Villanueva, and that is now 8 strikeouts for Joe McGraine. And we are only 3 2/3 deep. It's a 4-0 St. Louis lead here in the bottom of the 4th inning. 2 down, nobody on for Domingo Ramos. 3-0 rather, with Domingo Ramos coming to the plate, a strikeout victim in the 2nd inning.
The lights are on, the clouds are moving in, and it's hard for me to believe that Pendleton is going to have a meeting at the mound and take some more time. Now that shows pretty much a lack of presence about where you are, and that's just part of the buildup. That is the rest of the buildup, and it looks nasty.
0-2 now on Ramos.
I think if I was Steve Wilson coming out for the 5th inning, I would go into my Scott Sanderson impersonation, take about 20 minutes for the top half of the 5th, and take my chances on the weather.
0-2 to Ramos. 2 down, nobody on, and a tie. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Great rivalry being renewed here at Wrigley Field between the Cubs and the Cardinals. Milt Thompson playing him towards the line, makes a catch. 1-2-3 inning. After 4, St. Louis 3, the Cubs nothing. Guys rolling in as the wind continues to bring them in here at Wrigley Field. No, you didn't just wake up and it's 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Swing and a miss by the leadoff man, Vince Coleman.
It looks like a night game here.
Yes, it does. The lights are on. 3-0 Cardinals lead as we begin the 5th inning. Steve Wilson. He's given up a couple of solo home runs, and there is a perfect bunt by Vince Coleman. Forget all about throwing him out. Leadoff bunt single.
I hope Doug DeCenzo was watching that, because with a left-hander on the mound, this is just an outstanding effort. All you have to do is get the ball by him. And if you've got the good speed, and certainly DeCenzo doesn't run as fast as Coleman, but you can see there just is no play. You put the pressure on Sandberg or any second baseman, and he's playing too deep to make that play.
Vince Coleman leads the major leagues with 41 stolen bases. He has been caught 6 times. Stole a career high 4 against the Cubs the last time these two teams met. 1-0. One of the most dangerous runners to ever play this game.
Jim McGrath of McGrath Buick on hand. Rich Scapel of Scapel Buick, and Mike Cook of Bill Cook Buick about to get rained on here at the old ballpark.
It's 1-0 on Willie McGee, who's 1 for 2 with an RBI single. Coleman bluffs, and the pitch taken a strike. 1-1. I'm sure you have seen it this dark in the afternoon, but in my brief stay here in Chicago, I've never seen it get this dark.
You should have seen it here before the lights.
Quick throw by Wilson. Coleman back.
If Steve Wilson is going to make that move, and he doesn't have a great move, but twice he's caught the Cardinals leaning the wrong way, he has got to throw to first base with authority. He goes over there, just makes a lazy toss, and he'd have had Smith and Coleman picked off. Both times he just didn't have enough on the throw.
1-1 to Willie McGee. I want to imagine when a guy like Coleman or a Ricky Henderson gets on base, your mind has to be going in circles. 2-1.
Worst thing you can do is let him occupy so much of your thought process that you forget about the hitter. That's obviously the man who can hurt you, and suddenly you fall behind and have to lay in a fastball. And now you're in big trouble. Now he's got to make a tough 2-1 pitch to Willie McGee. Let's see what happens.
Coleman, the first man since Maury Wills to lead the National League in stolen bases 5 seasons in a row. Coleman also owns the longest streak in baseball history not getting caught on 50 straight attempts. Two and 1 to McGee. And again, Coleman leaning just a little bit.
Well, he looks like he's just about ready to go. And this is a great count for him to run. In a running situation, most guys will go with a fastball here. That becomes a good pitch to hit for McGee.
Well, Wilson taking his sweet time out there, hoping that some of these clouds will start dumping some of the wet stuff on this area pretty soon. With the Cardinals leading Wilson and company 3-0 here in the top of the 5th. Leadoff bunt single by Vince Coleman, who leads at first, and again he bluffs. 3-1 to Willie McGee.
That time I don't think he got a jump, because I thought he was going. Good base runners will realize when they don't get the good jump, and they'll just stop. And that's exactly what Coleman did right there.
Coleman has stolen 23 bases in the last 28 games. He's off this time, but it doesn't matter. Ball 4.
Well, there's an example of diverted attention that caused that walk, because Wilson wasn't even close to McGee, and now the bullpen up and going one more time. And Joe Girardi out to the mound to talk with Steve Wilson, and now he's in tremendous trouble because the wind is picking up. It shifted. It's now blowing to the right field corner, so it's going to hold up the ball in left and left center.
Pedro Guerrero, a solo home run his first trip in the first inning, number 8 of the year. Fly to center field to end the 3rd inning. Coleman and McGee can run, and Whitey likes to go with the double steal. Starting to rain lightly now as Guerrero swings and misses 0-1.
Now it's starting to rain not so lightly. Well, you knew it was going to come around any minute.
Fans running for cover. Wilson still out there. And now home plate umpire Frank Pulley says, hold on a minute. We're going to play on, at least for the time being.
Not much longer, I don't think. And that's it. They're going to call him on, call him in, and put him on. And yet another rain.
In relief has inherited 11 runners. 6 have scored. His longest appearance in relief, 2 innings, back on April the 24th at San Diego's Jack Murphy Stadium. Well, Pedro seems to be in pretty good spirits after the delay.
He's getting a chance to hit with runners in scoring position, which is his strong point. And the reason why he's always been a good hitter with runners in scoring position is the fact that he can afford to wait a little bit longer than most hitters. He knows he's got fast hands, and he knows that he can keep that ball from getting in the kitchen. And if you can do that, then you can wait a little longer on the breaking ball. And more times than not, when a pitcher gets in trouble, he will try to wipe you out with the breaking ball, because that's his double play pitch. That's what Pedro hits, and hits very well.
All right, here we go. It's a 3-0 Cardinals lead here in the top of the 5th inning. Vince Coleman at second base. Willie McGee at first. Nobody out. And the count is 0-1 on Pedro Guerrero. It goes to 0-2. Guerrero 1 for 2, a solo home run in the first inning. Talked about his average with runners in scoring position, over 400 last year. One of only 2 National League players in the 1980s to reach that mark. The other, Tony Gwynn, in '84, hit .418 with runners aboard. Still 0-2.
Don Zimmer made a great catch of that ball. One hopped right into the dugout, and Zim, with the fast hands, makes the play.
You'd like to see a fast double play right about now.
6-4-3 would look real good to Jeff Pico and the Cubs.
0-2 delivery. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
This is the kind of ball club where you're sure you have to warm up your pitcher, but you also have to be sure that the arm of Joe Girardi is loosened up. When you deal with the Cardinals and the fact that they can run with the best of them, you've got to be prepared to throw on any count.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Guerrero has fanned 37 times this year, which is not a high number for a slugger. He's been to bat 237 times now.
Coleman and Smith executed the double steal twice when the Cards stole 8 bases in that game back on June the 3rd. Full count now on Pedro Guerrero.
I'm going to figure Whitey Herzog, who does like to run, is going to send him here. Let's see if Sandberg might be able to sneak him back to Coleman. Quick move might cut down that lead a step or so.
Coleman at second, McGee at first. Nobody out. Rhino sneaking in, as you said, Steve, but Pico only bluffed back. Three and two. The runners are off. Swing and a miss. Throw down to third base, and they have got him by a mile. Boy, Coleman didn't appear to get any kind of jump at all.
He didn't get a good jump, and that's because Sandberg went in behind him once. That's the first time this year he has been thrown out trying to steal third, and this is no contest. A bullet of a throw. Kurt Wilkerson puts the glove down on the bag, expecting him to be sliding in, and here he comes, arriving 2 beats later, and that was thrown out by a big margin.
Bang bang double play. Willie McGee at second base for Todd Zeal, who homered his last trip, and takes strike one. Might be a big lift for Don Zimmer's team if Pico could get out of this inning unscathed. One ball and 1 strike. Waiting on deck, third baseman Terry Pendleton. But Zeal, the man, Pico trying to retire to end this 5th inning. 3-0 Cardinals. Works him away. 2 balls and 1 strike. It's hard to believe these two teams are where they sit in the standings. Each 12 games behind Pittsburgh.
And each with a lot of bullpen problems, especially in the stopper department.
Shallow left center field. DeCenzo will track it down to make the catch, and a nice job by Jeff Pico. In the inning, no runs, a hit. 1 man left. Go to the home half of the 5th. Redbirds 3, Cubs nothing. With our producer director Arnie Harris and former Cy Young Award winner Steve Stone. Tom Brenneman back at Chicago's Wrigley Field. A 3-0 St. Louis lead as we go to the bottom half of the 5th inning. It'll be Dwight Smith, Joe Girardi, and Curtis Wilkerson. Smith, his first trip, struck out swinging. McGraine is fanned 8. Starts him out, ball 1.
And hopefully for the Cubs, Joe McGraine will have forgotten what he had before the rain delay.
Count even on Smitty at 1 ball and 1 strike. McGraine has pitched better lately. On the season, only 3-9 with a 4.37 ERA. However, in his last 7 starts, the 6'6" left-hander 3-3 with a 291 earned run average, and he hasn't gotten a whole lot of help offensively from the Cardinals team. Strikes out Smith, so he hadn't missed a beat.
He's just overmatching Dwight Smith from the left side. That breaking ball close to unhittable, especially if you try to pull it and you pull off the ball, and that's what Smitty's doing. Watch a front shoulder. He flies open. You can see it perfectly there. You got no chance to hit the ball. And that equals his career high, and we're 1 out through the 5th inning. 9 strikeouts. It's hard to believe that that is his career high.
Foul ground down the right field line. It'll be Thompson. No, he couldn't hang on. Guerrero should have just stopped and given way to Milt Thompson all the way on that ball.
Much easier play for Milt Thompson, and Pedro got popped in the chops for his efforts. Thompson comes across, gets a head burger, and keeps on going down into the bullpen. Well, not artistic certainly, but Pedro figured I'm not going to try that anymore. They don't rate me as a glove man. Every time I run down there, someone hits me in the face with something. You take it from now on, Milt.
They pay me to hit.
That's right.
9 strikeouts. Matches a career high for McGraine. He has fanned 9 of the 16 batters he's faced in this game. He has walked 1 and surrendered only 2 base hits. Joe Girardi also a victim on strikes in the 2nd inning. Two and two.
With a left-hander swinging at another left-hander, the key is the right shoulder, and you have to tuck that right shoulder and make sure that it's in, or you're just not going to hit the ball. And you could see Dwight flying open early, and the ball away. There's just nothing left. No plate coverage.
Ooh, didn't miss by much. Full count now to Girardi. Where did you get this Gumby-like character?
Well, this was given to us by some Cub fans. You can bend it and shape it. It is a flexible Cub.
But does it talk, or does he or she talk?
No, it does very little actually, but stand here and look cute, which sometimes is a redeeming factor.
Absolutely. Full count to Joe Girardi. 1 retired, nobody on here in the home half of the 5th inning. McGraine has dominated the action so far. Pendleton off the high hop, throws him out, 2 away.
It's really most unusual when you have a left-hander on the mound who's got a good breaking ball, and the lineup is stacked with right-hand hitters. You would expect that the left side of the infield would be getting a lot of work. And of course, that hasn't been the case today, with McGraine striking out most everybody and giving up a couple of ground balls to the right side.
Curtis Wilkerson batting for the first time, and he hits one sharply, bobbled by Smith, but he will still get him at first base. Ozzie hangs with it, and thus a 1-2-3 5th inning. We head for the 6th. 3-0 Cardinals. Terry Pendleton, Ozzie Smith, and Milt Thompson against Jeff Pico, who did an outstanding job in that 5th inning. Fly ball right field. Dawson a beat on it towards the line. 1 away.
Probably one of the good stories for the Cubs so far is the reemergence of Jeff Pico, because earlier in the year he just couldn't get anybody out. Went down to the minor leagues and threw fairly well down there, although not great. But since coming back and used as a starter primarily, he's looked pretty impressive, and he's throwing the ball very well here.
Ozzie Smith is flying to right field and also drawn a walk. Tries to lay one down but misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. Last season, Ozzie Smith, batting in the 2nd spot, hit only .263. In other starts, a .293 batter. Has to say something with Vince Coleman hitting in front of him.
You have to take pitches if you're going to hit second with a fast man leading off. And there's a lot of guys who just don't hit very well if they have to get deep in the count. Now, granted, if you're a good hitter, you're going to be able to hit. But if you're always hitting with 2 strikes, it makes things a little more difficult.
Full count now on Ozzie Smith from Jeff Pico. See the AAB Jr. on the sleeve of the Cardinal players in remembrance of August A. Bush Jr., the owner of this franchise, who passed away last year, 90 years old. Still 3-2 to Ozzie with Milt Thompson waiting on deck. He walked him. 2nd time Smith has drawn a walk in this game. First surrendered by Jeff Pico.
Jeff is definitely going to have to watch Ozzie close, because this is a situation with a left-hand hitter up where I would think that Whitey would be turning him loose.
16 steals and 18 attempts for Ozzie Smith, who leads at first base. Ball 1 to Milt Thompson, who was grounded to second and reached on a rare error from Ryan Sandberg his last trip.
Something about writing E4 on the Cubs side that looks unusual.
You know, you say that kiddingly, but it really does.
It's true. Cubs had a player by the name of Billy Grabarkowitz, and I remember going to Cincinnati and Dave Concepcion coming over to him and saying, "Did you change your name to Elmo?" He said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Every time I look in the paper, I see E. Grabarkowitz."
1 ball and 2 strikes to Milt Thompson. That's a good line.
Yeah, Billy didn't have the greatest hands around, but he could hit.
How did he take that line, by the way?
Not very well.
I didn't think so. Sandberg going to go to second base, and that is all they will get. And Ozzie Smith getting up slowly. That was just an ugly slide into second. It looked like he couldn't make up his mind whether to just stand up or slide in.
It's really a lesson for all of you young players out there. Make your decision early and slide. Right there, you can see him turn the leg some, and he realized he had hurt himself. He didn't even attempt to get to the bag.
That's how
late.
Tim Raines was injured.
Sliding late is probably the area where you're going to get hurt the most. You jam that ankle, you can break it, you can do some ligament damage.
And you mentioned the name Dave Concepcion. That's how he shattered an ankle. I think the year was 1970.
It happens a lot. Al Bumbry, our fine center fielder with the Baltimore Orioles, did the same thing at second base in Texas.
Ball and a strike to Jose Oquendo. Doubled and scored in the 3rd. Grounded to second his last trip. So you're turning around all of the switch hitters with Pico now on the mound in the St. Louis lineup. There is a line drive left field, base hit. On to second base goes Milt Thompson. First base hit given up by Jeff Pico.
Good piece of hitting by Jose Oquendo. I always thought that his last name sounded like it should be a martial art. Don't mess with me, I know Oquendo.
It's not bad.
Yeah. But it's not. And there he is. Nice young man.
Well, who knows? He may be the pioneer of some new form of self-defense sometime down the road. He's still a very young guy. Plenty of time to do it.
And never too late to pick up a new career, especially if you're hitting in the 220s.
So here's Joe McGraine. Struck out swinging and fouled out to Joe Girardi. Thompson at second, Akendo at first. 0-1 to McGraine.
That particular slider was not where Jeff Pico wanted it to be. He's very fortunate that he had a pitcher up there because it was right down the middle. It didn't have anything on it, and it wasn't breaking.
Thompson, Akendo, the runners, second and first respectively. Wilkerson will just tap the bag, and that'll do it. No runs a hit. 2 men left. Go to the bottom half of the 6th inning. St. Louis 3 and the Cubs nothing. End series against the rival St. Louis Cardinals, and so far the visitors have gotten the better part of it, leading 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. But coming up for Don Zimmer's team will be the top of the order. Doug DeCenzo, Ryan Sandberg, and Sean Dunston.
Paul Assenmacher throwing in a bullpen. He will be ready to go if needed by Don Zimmer. And it'll be up to Doug DeCenzo to start things off. And the Cubs could use a couple of long balls, but they're facing a mighty stingy man in the home run department. Joe McGraine has only given up 3. He's thrown 94 innings, 95 innings now make it. So he doesn't throw the home run often.
DeCenzo is 1 for 2. Singled his last trip in the 3rd inning. Went to second on a balk, 3rd on a wild pitch. But with only 1 out in the inning, Sandberg struck out swinging, Dunston looking. Twice in this game, the Cubs have had a runner at 3rd with less than 2 outs and couldn't get him in. 0-2.
Umbrellas are out in the stands, so maybe it's starting to rain a little bit. But the skies aren't all that dark, so we'll probably keep going.
A wee bit outside. 1-2 to Doug DeCenzo. One of the highlights of this year, as bad as the season has gone so far, DeCenzo's pitching performance in that game against the Mets.
Very strong. He had good stuff.
1-2. 1 away.
There's an example of the good breaking ball as far as a hard slider or knuckle curve is concerned. You think it's a fastball if you're a right-hand hitter because it's right out over the plate. Watch what the ball does. You're measuring it for a fastball, and suddenly the ball moves in on you. You just can't get the head of the bat on the ball, and you ground out weakly to the left side. McGraine is just right on top of everything today. He has outstanding stuff. In fact, I can't believe he's thrown better stuff all year than he's throwing right here now.
Ball 1 to Ryan Sandberg. Single to right field his first trip on a 3-2 pitch away. Went the other way with it. Struck out swinging in the 3rd. McGraine only has 1 shutout this season. It came back on May the 15th against the Astros. Gave up 4 hits, no runs. Struck out only 2 in that game. Working on a shutout here. 2 hits for the Cubs. He's punched out 9.
He's also 2-0 in this ballpark lifetime, and both of them have been shutouts.
Sharply Ozzie Smith's way, but he's got it. And it will not get Sandberg at first base. Throw was off target. Guerrero tried the sweeping tag, but nothing doing.
Going to be an error on Ozzie Smith, pulling Guerrero off the bag. So Ozzie picks up error number 6. It's a routine play, but Ozzie's arm is not the best any longer. He holds it a little bit longer than he usually did. And of course, Pedro is not a Gold Glove at first. That's a play he probably should have made but didn't. But when a throw comes 4 or 5 feet up the line, they generally give it to the shortstop.
Sandberg, 13 stolen bases in 15 attempts. Here's Sean Dunston. McGraine is simply overmatched. The Cubs shortstop in 2 at-bats so far. Struck him out swinging in the 1st, looking in the 3rd. Trouble here. Akendo, Smith will not be able to turn it. Akendo had trouble getting the ball out of his mitt, and it looked as though Smith did the same.
Odds are slim of doubling Dunston. Of anybody going down the line from the right side in all of baseball, Sean Dunston has to rate right there. He has grounded into 3 double plays this year, but In this ballpark, off this grass, it's very difficult to double him. This ball is not hit all that hard. And Ozzie has all kinds of problems on the return end of that throw.
So here's Andre Dawson, who's lined to left field and grounded to first base. 2 down in the inning with a man at first. Strike 1. Dunston this year 7 stolen bases, has been caught 4 times. Oh, and 2. Joe McGraine 1 strike away from reaching a career high in that category. He has 9 so far. Oh, 2 pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Andre Dawson and Doug DeCenzo, the only 2 men in the Cubs batting order that have not struck out. Whitey Herzog and Don Zimmer matching wits. And there goes Dawson, and that is a career high in strikeouts for Joe McGraine. Whitey's pleased. Zimmer discouraged. No runs.
Again, everybody, Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. Vince Coleman leading off again. This is the 3rd time in the game he's been the leadoff man. He has had a bunt single. 2 balls, no strike. 3-0 in favor of the Cardinals. McGraine has been outstanding. There's a strike call. 2-1.
It's up to Jeff Pico to hold him right there, because the way Joe McGraine is pitching, it looks like it's going to be a tough fight against him. You can't afford to give up any more, and that's the role of the middle reliever.
2 balls and a strike. Pico. Hot smash. Throw. Sandberg, he started to throw the ball. Dropped it. It'll be a base hit. He would have made a great play. He was going to his right. He stabbed the ball, starting to throw it when it dropped out of his hand.
Would have been very difficult to make this play anyway, but he might have had a shot. No doubt it's a base hit, and so you've got the man with 41 stolen bases on first. But Girardi cut him down in the 5th inning, the first time all year. Vince Coleman has been thrown out, stealing 3rd.
9 out of 9 he had been, and he wasn't running. Apparently he thought Guerrero would hit the 3-2 pitch or something. He was just trotting to third base, and Wilkerson tagged him out after first being confused because he wasn't sliding. Here's a pitch outside.
Here is today's paid attendance, 30,764,
30,764 paid. Some of them came with umbrellas. Ball 2. Before the 7th inning of every regular season Cubs game televised on WGN, Budweiser and WGN TV announce a designated Bud batter. If any Cubs player hits a home run during the 7th inning, the designated Bud batter earns $100 immediately and then shares in a $10,000 bonus pool given out at the end of the season. We'll draw a name during every game from among the fans who write in. If you're 21 or older, you can send your name, address, and telephone number to Bud Batter's Box, Post Office Box 12208, St. Louis, Missouri 63157. Good luck to you. 3-1 to count on Willie McGee. There goes a runner. A long drive left field. Nobody's going to catch it. Going to the wall. Coleman is going to score easily. Here's McGee trying for third. He is safe. McGee tripled down the left field line, and it's 4-0 in favor of the Cardinals. And you can tell there are a lot of Cardinal fans here today.
Third triple of the year, and RBI number 31, second of the day for Willie McGee, who is putting together a banner year. He drives this ball in the left field corner, and he's got as good a speed as anyone around. Really turns it on around second base and beats the relay of Sean Dunston.
For McGee, that is his third triple of the year. Infield in now, Guerrero the hitter. Jeff Pico struck Guerrero out on a 3-2 pitch in the fifth, on which Coleman was doubled up trying to steal third. That evens the count. A ball and a strike, 4-0 in favor of the Cardinals. There's the bullpen of the Cubs.
Joe Kramer
Jose
getting up.
Nunez at the end of the bench, and Joe Kramer, the left-hander, starting to warm up. Pitch is high. In St. Louis, the Cardinals beat the Cubs 2 out of 3. So this is the first series at Wrigley Field. The sun trying to come out. A little bit low, ball 3. Pico pitched 2 fine innings in relief, has run into trouble here in the 7th. Foul tipped. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out. A run is home. Willie McGee, the runner at third. A 3-2 pitch to Guerrero. There's a bouncing ball. McGee holds at third. Throws to first in time. Wilkerson threw out Guerrero. And McGee had a hold at third base.
Willie McGee is coming down the line on this play, but he's not sure what Wilkerson's going to do. There you see him stop and start, and finally Kurt gets it across, and they make the play.
And so Guerrero missed the chance of driving in an easy run. Here now is Todd Zeal. He homered in the 4th. 1 out of 3. The infield is in again. Curveball a little bit low. Ball 1. 4-0 in favor of the Cardinals. Zeal hit number 7 in the 4th. Ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. 1 out, 1 in. Same 2 teams tomorrow. We will not televise, but we'll televise again Sunday. 2 balls, no strikes. Ball 3. Al Rabaski, the mad Hungarian, who used to pitch for St. Louis and Atlanta. I think Atlanta's still paying him off. Here's the pitch he swung and he missed.
He doesn't look mad these days, though. He's shaved off the Fu Manchu mustache. Doesn't do any meditation before he broadcasts, and he just is one of the former players in the booth these days.
I think he hypnotized Ted Turner into the contract, which is still paying him off. Ball 4. So the bases are occupied at first and third with 1 out. And here is Terry Pendleton. Also a switch hitter.
He turns around to hit from the left side, where he's a far better hitter this year, hitting .254. From the right side now, he's down to about .214.
Now ready? He swings and fouls it back. Pendleton has had 3 out of 14 this year. In his lifetime, he's hit .270 against the Cubs with 8 home runs. One strike and nothing.
Cardinals have a new hitting instructor this year. Johnny Lewis is departed, and Steve Braun, a great major league pinch hitter in his day, is now the hitting coach.
Strike called over the outside corner. Where did Johnny Lewis go? Is he still in their organization?
I think they assigned him, Harry, to a minor league roving hitting instructor, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's what happened.
Rich Hacker coaching at third base, a cousin of Warren Hacker, the old Cub pitcher. 0-2 the count. A little bit outside. 1 ball, 2 strike. Pendleton 0 for 3. The infield playing back around short and second, hoping to go for the double play. The count remains the same. Willie McGee, the runner at third. A peculiar number for McGee, 51. Regular players usually have a lower number.
Cardinals have a good situation with pitching coach Mike Rourke. He was a man who was a guru for Bruce Sutter, and even when he left baseball after his stint with the Cubs, Bruce would go down and pay him periodic visits. Well, not only does he help the pitchers, but he's also worked with Todd Zeal behind the plate. So former major league catcher Mike Rourke is a valuable man for Whitey Herzog.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Runners first and third. 1 out. 4-0 St. Louis. Hot smash. Mike fumbles the ball, recovers, throws it first for the out, but a run score. Sandberg lost his chance at the double play when he fumbled it, but saved the air by throwing out the batter on the play, a run scoring.
Rhino's having a tough day today. Fumbled a couple of balls. This one comes up and hits him in the chest. He stays with it, but not before Pendleton knocks in run number 36.
So it is 5-0. And here's Ozzie Smith, another switch hitter. They have 5 of them in their starting lineup. 1 strike and nothing. Todd Zeal, the runner at second. A ball call.
Gary Darling was saying that he came to a set position and separated his hands. That's what he indicated, at least to Jeff Pico. That's balk number 1.
So a runner's at third with 2 away. 5-0. Strike call. 0-2 on Ozzie Smith. He's walked twice. Flied out the other time. A little bit inside. Here, watch the balk. Now there's his hands. Now watch it.
Right there,
Yeah.
He broke the back leg and then did not come to the plate.
Well, he's still walking around all right for a broken leg. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, they're still on the rooftops, not as many as there were earlier, but there are not as many in the stands either as they were earlier. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Bouncing ball. Sandberg over to first to retire the side. 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 left. We go in the bottom of the 7th. The Cardinals are leading 5-0 in favor of St. Louis. Villanueva walked and fanned. There's a drive in the left field, a base hit. The ball bounced away. There goes Hector around first. On his way to second. A double for Villanueva. That will bring up a pinch hitter here, Mark Grace.
First double of the year for Hector, so his first stolen base today, his first double of the year. Coleman on the wet turf slides down, and Mark Grace comes on to pinch hit. And he's been successful 1 out of 2 times in that role, hitting .283 overall with a couple of home runs and 24 RBI.
Janet and Dave Crome, newlyweds, watching the game in Kauai, Hawaii, where it's 8 o'clock in the morning, the note says. Here's Mark Grace. The pitch is low. Grace being used as a pinch hitter. Villanueva started at first base and has just doubled. A little bit inside, ball 2. Birthday greetings to Gary Manavie of Gillespie, Illinois. Strike over the outside corner. 2 balls and a strike.
Outfield shades Mark around toward left center field with Vince Coleman very shallow in left.
Well, there's a fly ball in the left center field. McGee is there. Grace batting for Pico. Flies out to McGee.
2 runs, 4 runs, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, 1 walk.
So Wilson is charged with 3 runs, Pico with 2. The score 5-0. Here's Dwight Smith, who twice has fanned. Joe McGraine has his major league high of strikeouts in 1 game. He has fanned 10 now. Previously, 9 had been his high. Big good-looking kid from Des Moines, Iowa. Bounces it foul over by the Cardinal dugout. Dwight Smith 0 for 2. 1 out, a man on second base. McGraine has been the master of this game.
He was masterful from the beginning. The Cubs really have had very little, if anything, going against him. This is one of the real opportunities they've had. A man at second base, nobody out here in the 7th.
And as dominating as he has been, and he is a fine young pitcher, hard to believe his record, which is going into this game, he's won 3 and lost 9. Earned run average 4.37. 1-1 pitch. A little bit low. He has the only complete game pitch by the Cardinal pitching staff. So he's going for complete game number 2.
That's a pitch right there that Dwight just can't catch up with because of the way he wraps his bat and keeps his hands. That inside fastball. If you can't hit that, it's going to be tough on you because the pitchers will stay there.
Bouncing foul. McGraine's only complete game also was a shutout. So he's going for the pitching staff's second complete game and his second shutout of the year.
It's Tom Niedenfuhr, whose wife will be on the WGN movie tonight at 7 o'clock.
2 balls, 2 strikes. A wild pitch, and Villanueva advances at third. Boy, oh boy, Hector. That's our Vince Coleman.
Wild pitch number 7. Zeal has no chance at this one. This is way wild.
Well, let's break his shutout first, then worry about the 5 runs later. Then we would only need 4 if Hector scored. 3-2. Swings and he fouls it out of play. 3-2 the count. Joe Girardi next. The skies have darkened again. It's been one of those days. He walked him. And the Cubs have 2 men on with 1 out. And here's Girardi.
Niedenfuhr continues to heat up as we see a meeting at the mound. Everybody but Pedro Guerrero out talking with Joe McGraine, trying to buy a little time for that bullpen.
Girardi 0 for 2 so far. Niedenfuhr getting ready in the bullpen. Well, you can make 5 very easily. There's a high pop fly in a sharp right field. Milt Thompson has it. Fires towards the plate. 2 gone. Runner still at third. And here's Wilkerson coming up. Switch hitter. Batting right-handed against McGraine, who has a big red 32 on the back of his shirt. Well, some great athletes have worn 32. O.J. Simpson, Jimmy Brown,
Sandy Koufax.
Sandy Koufax, Steve Stone.
Thanks for putting me in that select company.
The pitch. Well, some great athletes have worn 32. O.J. Simpson, Jimmy Brown,
Sandy Koufax.
Sandy Koufax, Steve Stone.
Thanks for putting me in that select company.
The pitch, a little bit low. Too bad Michael Jordan didn't pick that number. He picked 23. They could have just reversed it.
Well, he always liked Ryan Sandberg, so he figured he'd go with the hot number.
Yeah. 1 ball, no strikes. It's been a long day for Joe McGraine with a long rain delay. High pop foul, right field corner. Whoa, he makes the catch as he slips, but he holds on to the ball. Nice play by Milt Thompson. So 2 men are left on base. At the end of 7, 5-0 St. Louis. Harry Carey and Steve Stone. There you see Mitch Williams, who's on the disabled list. Rick Sutcliffe. There you saw Louis Salazar to Mitch's left.
There you see Joe Kramer, who comes into the ball game for the 16th time with a 7.97 ERA.
First pitch is in there, a strike call to Milt Thompson. Kramer. Ground ball right to Sandberg over to first in time. Watch this play that Milt Thompson made to end the 7th inning. Now, he's slipping on the wet grass, but he makes the catch anyway. Nice play. 1 out. Here's Oquendo. He's 2 out of 3.
Jose Nunez throwing in the bullpen.
Curveball inside. 1 man out. Well, Whitey Herzog was moaning and groaning about how there's a base hit again. Here's Oquendo on his way to second base, changes his mind as Dwight Smith made a quick recovery and a quick throw.
The second time that Jose Oquendo has foiled the defense by driving the ball down the line. He doubled in the 3rd inning. Right by a diving Wilkerson this time. It was Ramos in the 3rd inning who saw a rifle shot go by him.
9 hits for the Cardinals. And we brought them out of their slump in St. Louis, too, you remember. Whitey had been complaining about nobody hitting, and they suddenly began to hit against the Cubs. So is it today. They lead 5-0. 1 out. Joe McGraine, the hitter. McGraine went to school at Arizona, Tucson. He bunts. A good one, too. The only play will be to first. And Dunston hustles over to cover third. Sacrifice for McGraine. With 2 out, here's Coleman.
Goes 2-4, and it's a very good bunt, putting a lot of pressure on Joe Girardi to come out and make the play. He extricates himself from McGraine and still has plenty of time to throw on to Sandberg.
So 2 men around. Coleman 2 out of 4. 2 singles, a run scored. One ball, no strikes. We're in the top of the 8th. Time running out for the Cubs. Fouled it back. Only 93 games left after today. The Cubs with a losing record both at home and on the road. Foul ball back. They won 12 and lost 19 at home. '16 and lost 21 on the road. He struck him out on a slow curve. Coleman goes down swinging. 1 man left. We go in the bottom of the 8th. 5-0 St. Louis. Hey. Here's Doug DeCenzo, who's 1 out of 3, leading it off. 1 ball, no strikes. Sky's trying to clear. Fouled it back. Good weather forecast for tomorrow. Clear, no more rain. little bit low. 2 balls and a strike.
You got to root for Doug DeCenzo to get a couple of hits because you love his glove in center field. And if he can just hit anything, he's a valuable man out there.
High fly ball will be caught by McGee. 1 out. Here's Sandberg, 1 out of 3.
Doug DeCenzo is the only Cubs starter not to have gone down on strikes against the 10 strikeout performance of Joe McGraine.
I tell you, he hits the ball and he hits the well. They don't fall in, unfortunately. But you wonder what would happen over a full season. He maybe wouldn't strike out at all and maybe hit 204.
There's Lee Smith getting ready to go. Big Lee has done a pretty good job since being acquired from the Boston Red Sox. Now he's healthy once again, but he's got 6 saves for this team in 20 appearances.
And they've got to make up their minds whether they want to keep him. His contract is up, and he's going to want big money. 3 balls, no strike. He walked him. Sandberg is on. That's the 3rd walk given up by McGraine. There's Mike Rourke coming out.
Let's find out just exactly how Joe McGraine is feeling. He's thrown some pitches, but he also had the rain delay intermingled in there, and so sometimes you come back and you're not quite as strong. He hasn't fanned near as many men since coming back. He had 8 when rains came, only 2 after that. But he still looks mighty tough.
Did you see that Shawnemeter sign? They also list Evil Ozzie because he's leading the he's leading the voting on the All-Star team over Sean Dunston and running second Barry Larkin of the Reds. Dunston 0 for 3 today. Fouled it back for a strike. Boy, we're 5 minutes past 5. We can go past the 4-hour mark, but we had a long delay because of rain.
And a 20-minute delay at the start of the game.
Swung and he missed. 0-2. Dunston is fanned twice and bounced into a force play. A little low. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, 1 on. Boy, this has been a dull ball game.
3 hits, not much to talk about offensively.
Struck him out. Over the inside corner, a fastball.
Sean can't believe it. That's the 2nd time he's gone down looking. He thought the pitch was inside. Frank Pulley thought otherwise. The argument is not too heated, and we'll take another look at it.
It's the 11th strikeout today for McGraine. I don't know. That pitch is pretty good.
Certainly close enough to be swinging, but Sean didn't.
Here's Dawson. He's 0 for 3. He's fanned once. Bouncing ball. That'll be easy. Force out at second base. At the end of 8 innings, it remains 5-0 St. Louis. Back at Wrigley Field, we go into the 9th. And leading it off, Willie McGee. 2 out of 3 today. Kramer's pitch. Fouled off.
Willie says he's healthy, and he lost some weight in the offseason, and he thinks that dropping the weight, not working out with weights, has kept his legs just like they were when he was a lot younger. Very springy.
Fouled out of play. McGee, 31 years old. He should have a lot of good years ahead of him, at least 3 or 4. 0-2 the count. They got McGee from the New York Yankees.
The famous Bob Sykes went to New York in that deal for Willie McGee, one of the better ones the Cardinals have made over the years.
I wonder how much Steinbrenner would be paying McGee by now if he had the same kind of years for the Yankees as he's had for the Cardinals. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Outside.
Les Lancaster throwing in the bullpen for the Cubs. And no activity in the bullpen for St. Louis.
McGee's had 7 hits this year, make it 8. Against the Cubs, it's only the 4th game played between the 2 teams. Watch the way Willie McGee hits this ball. He's kind of backing up. It falls away and lines it to left.
Only way you can hit this ball is to bring the hands in, and this was a high breaking ball, so Willie thought might as well just rope it rather than look at it.
So McGee again is 3 out of 4 against the Cubs. Guerrero fouls it off. He started the game with a home run. This game was over early, the way it's turned out. That evens it up, a ball and a strike. Everybody else playing tonight. Montreal entertaining the Pirates in a battle for first place. Curve in there, a beauty. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Joe Kramer on the hill. The 3rd pitcher employed by the Cubs. Inside. Kevin Gross pitching for Montreal tonight against Walt Terrell for the Pirates. Fouls it back. Guerrero leads the club in home runs with 8. This team has only hit 30 home runs all year. 8 of the 30 by Guerrero. 31 now. Zeal got another one today. They went into the game having hit only 29 home runs. Guerrero and Zeal homered today. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Lined in the center, base hit. Here goes Willie McGee on his way to 3rd. Guerrero singles to center.
Dave Collins will come on to pinch run for Pedro Guerrero as the Cardinals continue the hit parade against Joe Kramer. Guerrero driving the ball right back into center field, and McGee running on the pitch, easily able to go to 3rd.
Well, Guerrero fought the day, scored a run, batted one in, had 2 hits, had a home run. Here now is Todd Zeal. He's 1 out of 3 with a home run in the 4th. Runners are on, 1st and 3rd. Willie McGee 3 out of 4 for the day with 2 RBI. Zeal takes another breaking ball.
There's a moose head.
Is that what it is? 0-2 the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Zeal out of Southern California. UCLA boy, I think. Had a good cut, fouled it back. Well, there's still people on the rooftops.
Hardy people at that. They battled the wind and the rain, and they're still around.
Not hardy, but party. Party people. It's cold out there, too. There goes the runners. Foul back out of play. Dave Collins, good runner.
He's stolen 4 out of 5 bases, although he doesn't have the speed he did a few years back. He's been around a long time.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Villanueva holding him on. Nobody out. Struck him out. 1 away. Here's Terry Pendleton. One out, runners 1st and 3rd, 5-0, St. Louis. Pendleton, who is 3 out of 15 for the year against the Cub pitching. Fouls it back. Bilecki will face the Cardinals tomorrow. The game will not be televised. We will have it on radio. Our next television will be Sunday for the finale. A 1:20 ball game. Leadoff man at 1 o'clock. The game time tomorrow is early, 12:20. Jack Buck and Tim McCarver do it for the network tomorrow. That's why we're preempted. There's a drive. Fair ball into the corner. 1 run is in. 2 runs are in. And Pendleton winds up with a 2-run double. Boy, he really creamed that one.
38 RBIs now on his 11th double of the year. A low breaking ball, and Pendleton took this one right off the shoe tops and drove it like a bullet into the left field corner. So the Cardinals continue to pour it on, and nobody seems to be able to stop them today.
7-0. The only inning in which they were hitless was the 2nd. Here now is Ozzie Smith, runner at 2nd. A high fly ball to right will be caught by Dawson. Pendleton holds at 2nd. 2 gone. Here's Milt Thompson. He's 0 for 4. Sandberg struck out once against McGraine. Dunson struck out 3 times. Dawson's fanned once. Villanueva struck out once. Ramos once. Dwight Smith twice. Girardi once. And Wilson once. It should add up to 11 strikeouts, a career high for Joe McGraine. Thompson in the hole 0-2, facing the southpaw, Joe Kramer. Each pitcher used has been scored upon. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 in, 2 out, runner at second. He struck him out with a curveball. 2 runs on 3 hits. 1 left. We go into the bottom of the 9th, 7-0 in favor of the Cardinals. Carry back to the ballpark. Villanueva was 1 out of 2. A new first baseman, Collins, has replaced Guerrero. He ran for him and plays for him now. Dave Collins at first base. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Villanueva walked the first time, fanned the next time, double to left in the 7th. The Cardinals had a couple of chances in the early innings. But really haven't had a prayer in this game. Here's a high fly ball. McGee is there in center field. 1 out. McGraine has fanned 11 men. McClendon will hit here.
Lloyd McClendon comes on, hitting just .168. 1 for 9 as a pinch hitter. So every pitcher scored upon today as Kramer gives up a couple on 4 hits in 2 innings.
Low outside. One homer, 9 RBIs. That 1 home run drove in 4 of them. A grand slam in New York at Chase Stadium. Hitting .168. Lloyd McClendon. What a difference a year makes. Strike call. The skies are dark again. That evens it up, makes it 3-1 rather. 3 balls and a strike. Lee Smith's in the bullpen along with a left-hander, Ken Daly, I think. Three balls, 2 strikes. 7-0 in favor of the Cardinals. Yeah, it's Ken Daly. There's a high fly ball, will be caught. Coleman on left field makes the catch. McClendon fly to Coleman. 2 gone.
Earlier in the ball game, that might have gotten out of here because the wind was blowing straight out. Now it's blowing toward the right field corner, and it knocked that one down.
I'll bet you I know the play of the game, Arnie. The blow that won the game as of now. Here's Dwight Smith. Bounces out to the second baseman. The game is over. And the Cardinals have now won 3 out of 4 over the Cubs this year. They win the first game played in Chicago 7-0. We'll be back in 1 moment. Happened in the first inning with 2 out when Pedro Guerrero hit a home run into the left field stand. to put the Cardinals ahead 1-0, and they never relinquished the lead, winning the contest 7-0. Our next telecast on Channel 9 will be not tomorrow, but Sunday, between the Cardinals and the Cubs, Sunday, June the 24th. Our coverage begins with the leadoff man at 1 o'clock. Harry Carey from Wrigley Field. So long, everybody.
Chicago Cubs baseball on Channel 9 was brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. The Chicago Tribune, get in the game, pick up a trip. True Value Hardware, for quality, selection, and personal attention, make True Value your store of first choice. Unical 76, who invites you to go with the spirit of 76. And Nissan, built for the human race.